Are you thinking of making Denver, Colorado your new hometown, but you don't know how it compares to other cities around the country? That's exactly what we're going to talk about in this video. We're going to do a city showdown where we actually showcase Denver, Colorado versus Waverly, Iowa. This is going to be a really good one. We're going to go through advantages of each city, and you want to make sure you stay to the end of the video because we are going to go through something that you may not have thought of. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to get started right now. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything about living in Denver, Colorado or the surrounding areas, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell. That way you can be the first to know about the local market here in Denver. I'm Gary Browder. My team and I get calls every day from people just like you. So whether you're moving next week, next month, or next year, we'd be happy to help you make a smooth move to Denver, Colorado. Welcome back to our city showdown, where we're actually going to showcase the advantages of two completely, extremely different cities: the hustling, bustling Denver, Colorado, and the Midwestern town of Waverly, Iowa. Each one has their very distinct advantages. Some may like one, some may like the other, but we're going to showcase all of them. So some of you might be wondering, why did I choose a town like Waverly, Iowa to showcase against Denver, Colorado? Because they are so dramatically different. Well, my daughter went to school here in Waverly, Iowa, and she actually relocated out here permanently. Whenever I'm out here visiting and I tell colleagues I'm coming out to Waverly, Iowa, they're always asking, what is the advantage of living in Waverly? What's the cost of living like? What is it like to be there? I figured, why not? Let's show the video. We'll show you some advantages of one place versus the other, and that way you can see them all for yourself. First advantage of Waverly, Iowa is definitely the slower pace of life. That's what one of these Midwestern towns has: a lot lower population, and as people seem to just, move a little slower, traffic seems to be a little slower, people are more polite in lines. It makes me kind of feel like I'm on island time. That's why I have my flamingo shirt on. I would definitely say advantage goes to Waverly for definitely a nice slower pace of life. All right, let's go ahead and start out with the first major advantage for Denver. And that's going to be Denver International Airport. With Denver, you do get access to international travel that is second to none in the country. So Denver is one of the busiest airports in the country, and you do get access to flights to over 215 different countries. I'm standing here at the Cedar Rapids Airport. They have literally 8 different gates that you can fly out of. Flights to Denver, just one in, one out per day. Not as many options. When you're flying in and out of Denver, you have so many more options of flights, airlines, and different things. From a logistical standpoint, flying out of Denver is just going to give you much more possibility. I would have to mark that in the Denver category as an advantage. Next, let's go ahead and talk about higher education opportunities. Now, while Waverly is home to Wartburg College, which is a great little liberal arts college, Denver is home to a ton of colleges, universities, and even community colleges. You have, just to name a few of them, you have CU Denver, you have DU, which is University of Denver, you have the Rocky Mountain College of Art and Design, you have Regis University, Metro State, you have the Community College of Denver, Arapahoe Community College. That's just even to name a few. There's even more that I'm not even thinking off the top of my head. So there is a ton of them, and some of them are private schools, some of them are state-funded schools, and a lot of them are very big schools. And so you get a ton of program choices. You have a ton of resources that are available at these really big schools that you just don't get in a smaller school and in a smaller school programs like they have in Waverly. The advantage, I would say, for higher education and opportunities you get with those higher educations would definitely go to Denver, Colorado. Now let's talk about cost of living. Now, Denver has some amazing big city perks, but they come at a hefty price tag, such as housing expenses. You've probably seen housing expenses in Denver have kind of exploded over the last few years, as well as cost of groceries, utilities, and all those types of things. Waverly, on the other hand, definitely has a lower cost of living. So the cost of groceries, utilities, and things like that definitely are lower, which makes your dollar stretch a lot further. Want to talk about real estate. I just pulled up a house, typical house here in Waverly. This house is listed at $244,900. It is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. This house was built in 1923. It's got some really distinct architecture, something like you see closer to downtown Denver. It sits on a corner lot, which is about 1/4 of an acre. Actually a decent little piece of property. This also has really amazing original hardwood floors. If you're looking to stretch your dollar the furthest, I would probably say the cost of living advantage definitely goes to Waverly, Iowa. For this next one, I figured I'd be in the car since I want to talk about traffic. So anytime you travel to a small town, Waverly included, you'll definitely notice the lack of cars on the road and the lack of traffic. Denver, definitely, being a bigger city, you definitely have a lot more traffic on those interstates, the highways, and of course all those arterial roads, definitely a lot more traffic. Here in Waverly, you definitely don't get that. And with that increased traffic in Denver, you also get increased pollution. Waverly definitely gets that advantage for less traffic and less pollution. Okay, let's talk about our next point. And this one might be a little bit controversial because everyone feels a little bit differently about this one. Let's talk about weather. Each place, Waverly and Denver, both get a little bit of snow in the winter and they both get heat in the summertime. They have fairly similar weather patterns. However, I do feel that Colorado does have a milder winter with a little bit less snow. Looked up the numbers and tell you what the difference is in the two. Denver has a yearly average temperature about 89 degrees. When you factor all of the cold months in with the hot month, 89 degrees is your average high. Average low temperature is 20 degrees in Denver. That makes the mean temperature year-round 52 degrees. Denver gets an annual precipitation about 1.36 inches when averaged out over the months. And the big one, the humidity in Denver averages 52%. Now let's take a look at those numbers for Waverly. The average yearly temperature for Waverly is 84 degrees, where the average low is going to be a little bit lower. Its average low is 10 degrees. The big one, so the annual precipitation is going to be about double of what Colorado and Denver gets. They get 2.97 inches monthly averaged out, and the big one is the humidity. So the humidity is 72% on average for Waverly. The summers are going to feel a little bit hotter with all that humidity, and those winters just seem to bite a little bit more with all of that humidity as well. If you're looking for something that has a little bit milder winter and not as hot and humid and muggy in the summer, I would have to give that advantage to Denver. We talked about higher education opportunities a little bit earlier in this video. Now let's talk about that K through 12 education. And looking at niche.com, both school systems are incredible school systems. They both scored very highly in all of the rankings that they do. One of the things that did stand out to me, and of course being a smaller school system, is that student to teacher ratio. That student to teacher ratio for Waverly is only about 14 students per teacher. The Denver schools, Denver Public Schools, Arapahoe, Douglas County, when you kind of average them together, is closer to that 20 students per teacher. So that lower student to teacher ratio does give you a little bit more individualized attention, a little bit more help if you need it. And also one thing that you do notice when driving around Waverly is that community involvement with all the school activities and the parental involvement with those things. So it's not something you can really measure. However, that is something you definitely see. On that aspect, I would have to score Waverly on that advantage for that lower student to teacher ratio and community involvement with their lower education schools. In that last topic, we just talked about how you notice the community involvement with those schools. You'll also sense that just completely around town, and you see it when they feature small towns in movies, how everybody knows everybody's name and everybody's just so extremely friendly. And that's one thing you will get with a small town like Waverly, is just that sense of community where everybody just seems to look out for each other. With a smaller town, everybody does know each other a little bit better. Do get just that better sense of community that you get with just that smaller population. And that is, for a lot of people, very comforting and very nice. And it is very refreshing coming from such a big city like Denver, that it is fun to go there and experience that. That is what you're looking for, that really tight-knit sense of community. You definitely experience that and see that on a larger scale than you do in Denver. Not saying you don't get it in Denver and some of the suburbs that we have here, because you definitely do. However, it is definitely what you experience and see in the movies definitely is what you get when you get to Waverly. You get that sense of community. So I'm going to mark that as an advantage for Waverly, sense of community. All right, for our next topic, let's talk about job opportunities. Now, while Waverly, being smaller, does have a good job market, but just on a much more limited scale, with most of those opportunities being featured in healthcare, education, and of course the local small businesses. However, for a lot of residents, that lower stress and that slower pace definitely can outweigh the need for that big city paycheck. If you are desiring the utmost of opportunities, then Denver, which has an abundance of large-scale employers, for example, Coors, who is headquartered here, has about 17,000 employees. UC Health, a health organization, employs about 24,000 people. DaVita, also a healthcare company headquartered here, employs about 67,000 people. Aero Electronics, headquartered here, employs about 19,000 people. And of course, Kroger or King Soopers employs about 16,000 people. A lot of large-scale employers, of course, equal a lot more opportunities. A lot of employers in a variety of sectors, healthcare, telecommunications, mining. You can see there is a ton of those large-scale employers, as well as the smaller businesses as well, that would give you a lot more opportunity to find a position that you would enjoy here in Denver. So I would give that advantage of job opportunities to Denver. Next, let's talk about something that Colorado is truly known for and is almost unmatched, and that is outdoor recreation. Denver is in real close proximity to the beautiful Rocky Mountains. Short drive, right up I-70, you have access to a number of world-class ski resorts such as Keystone, Arapahoe Basin, Breckenridge, Copper Mountain, Vail, all of those in a really short drive right up I-70 from here in Denver. And along that path, you also have great proximity to a ton of lakes and rivers, great for hunting, fishing, camping, all of those things as well. You get tired of the urban grind down here in Denver, real short drive to all of those amazing outdoor amenities that Colorado is truly known for. Waverly doesn't have access to the mountains such as we do here in Colorado. They do still have some great outdoor recreation. They have tons of rivers and lakes for fishing, boating, kayaking. There's also tons of trails. And the great thing about doing all those things in Waverly, you don't have the tons of people coming from Denver or a big city that cloud those up. I would give the advantage to outdoor recreation to Denver. Next up, let's talk about one that may mean absolutely nothing to you, and it may mean a lot. A lot of people really get into their sports and their sports teams. Now, Waverly, of course, does not have any professional sports teams, and Iowa on a whole also has no sports teams. So you're going to end up cheering for a different team in a local state, or maybe your previous home state. Now, Denver is home to a ton of professional sports teams. We have the Denver Broncos, we have the Denver Nuggets, we have the Colorado Rockies, we have the Colorado Avalanche, and the Colorado Rapids, the soccer team, and a new professional lacrosse team, the Colorado Mammoth. We have an amazing amount of sports teams. You can go catch a game at any of those local stadiums and really get involved with that team spirit here in Denver. If sports are important to you and you want to have a local team, that's something you would have to consider and give Denver that advantage. That's the advantages and disadvantages of living in Waverly versus Denver. Now let's go ahead and recap those to wrap this up. Living in Waverly, Iowa, those advantages are definitely the slower pace of life, the lower cost of living, less traffic, and of course, less traffic pollution. The sense of community you get with that smaller town. The advantages you get with smaller class size in the K through 12 classes. Now, the advantages you get with living in Denver you definitely get access to international travel with Denver International Airport. Higher education, you get tons of options with all those colleges based here in Denver. Job opportunities, all of the major Fortune 500 companies and all the businesses that are based here in Denver. The weather, can't beat the 300 days of sunshine and the beautiful weather and the less harsh winters we have in Denver. Outdoor recreation, the close proximity to the Rocky Mountains and all the outdoor recreation possibilities that Denver offers. Sports teams, tons of local sports teams if you want to root for a local team. Hope you enjoyed this city showdown, Waverly, Iowa versus Denver, Colorado. This sure was fun. I do invite you to the comment box below. If you do have any comments, if you've lived in Waverly, you have anything you would like to share, would love to hear that. Also, if you have any questions about Denver, moving to Denver, would love to help out. All my contact information is in that description box below. Never too busy to answer your calls. I am the one that answers the phone and emails, so would love to hear from you. Until our next video, hope to see you around town. Bye-bye.